Hello, guys, and welcome to episode 138 of Latino Vegano. If you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and hit on the subscribe button. And this is the first time listening to the podcast, and please give us some thumbs up or some good review either on YouTube, or if you're listening through Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or any of those podcast platforms. We appreciate you guys for all the support. Today I'm going to talk about the health benefit of a plant-based diet, including weight loss, improving health, the reduce of risk of chronic diseases. So I really want to touch into this topic today. I know it's something that I've spoken in the past, but you know what? It's really true. A lot of benefit of adopting this lifestyle, and you don't want to miss out. So let's go ahead and get this thing going. So let's go. Plant-based diet.
Bienvenidos a Latino y Vegano, un show donde se habla todo lo relacionado sobre el veganismo entre la comunidad latina. latinoyvegano.com.
Today I want to focus on the benefit of a plant-based diet. Studies have shown that following a plant-based diet can lead to weight loss, improve health, and reduce risk of chronic disease, such as diabetes and cancer. One study published in the Journal of American College of Cardiology found that the people who follow a plant-based diet had a 16% risk of heart disease compared to those who follow a non-plant-based diet. So before I even go deep into a lot of these studies, I want to tell you guys that a lot of folks don't really believe in a plant-based diet from a science standpoint, and it's interesting because now there's plenty of studies that back up a lot of the things that we're talking about. And when you have studies that actually give you the actual facts and the actual statements and the actual studies, you can definitely see how beneficial it is to adopt a plant-based diet, because now you got the science involved in it, right? Also, I wanted to talk to you guys about, there's one thing that I always told people: I will not be talking about adopting a whole food plant-based diet if I personally was not living it, right? So as living this lifestyle, I've done this lifestyle, this way of living and eating and dressing in the whole complexity of things for about 2 decades now, right? And I have plenty of friends in the same boat that even have even more years than I. But the point is that I want to start doing and giving you guys a lot of the studies behind it. A lot of the studies were based from researches done in the U.S. and that you can in some other countries as well. Even though veganism started in England, you can still have a lot of studies done in other countries that can help you to understand why, from a science standpoint, this is the best way to go. So the study was a systematic review of meta-analysis of previously published research, which means that the author analyzed the result of multiple studies on the same topic in order to draw more robust conclusions. The aim of the study was to assess the association between a plant-based diet and the risk of cardiovascular disease, CVD, including heart disease and stroke. So this is not the CVD that you smoke, right? This is the CVD, so it's completely different, right? The author identified 7 studies that met their inclusions criteria, which included a total of 3,329, 18 participants, 300,000 participants basically. These studies included both observational studies, which observe a group of people over the time and assess their diet and health outcomes. A randomized controlled trial, which randomly assigned people to different diet groups and compared the health outcomes between groups. The result of the meta-analysis showed that people who follow a plant-based diet had a 60% lower risk of heart disease compared to those who follow a non-plant-based diet. The authors also found that the plant-based diet were associated with a 25% lower risk of a CVD mortality, death due to a CVD, and a 32% lower risk of ischemia heart disease, a type of heart disease caused by reduced blood flow to the heart. So, man, they did a study with 300,000 people. That's a lot of data. A lot of data. And they still find out with that data that a plant-based diet is so much better, or is even better for your health than a non-plant-based diet. So that's a huge amount of data for a study right there, just by the amount of participants, by having them in that same scenario. Overall, the study suggested that following a plant-based diet may be associated with a lower risk of heart disease and other CVD outcomes. But more research is needed to fully understand the relationship between plant-based diet and cardiovascular diet. Another study published in the journal Nutrition Review found that a plant-based diet was associated with a significantly lower body mass index, BMI, and a lower level of LDL cholesterol, a type of cholesterol that is known to increase the risk of heart disease. So BMI, we hear these terms a lot, body mass index is definitely have to be with fat. So at the same time, we are talking about a plant-based diet help to reduce cholesterol, which we hear that all the time, right? And then all the different problems of heart disease. So this is another study that published that. In addition to this benefit, a plant-based diet has also been shown to be effective at reducing the risk of certain chronic diseases. A study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association found that a plant-based diet was associated with a 20% lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And another study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that a plant-based diet was associated with a lower risk of breast and prostate cancer. So, as you guys can see, how many studies have been done that show that you can reduce cancer, you can reduce cholesterol, blood pressure, heart disease, all these different diseases that are killing people, that are completely wiping our people. And then you can avoid all this and even reverse this in some cases. It's just simply a whole food plant-based diet. I actually recommend a whole food plant-based diet more, but I always tell folks that it's good that you start by transitioning, right? I use the word transitioning a lot when it's someone that is coming from a conventional diet and or a non-plant-based diet, and then wants to gradually get themselves into a more plant-based. So for you to be able to accomplish that, for some folks works better the gradual approach, where you step by steps get there, and I'll be talking about that further down this podcast. However, it's very important that you guys take that into consideration, that if you don't care about anything else, I mean, your health should be your number one priority, right? Because you want to stay alive, because you want to take care of yourself. I hear a lot of people say like, I don't care about that. If I'm going to die tomorrow, but then I eat a burger, that says a lot about you and how you see yourself, right? At this point, you're trying to be selfish, right? You're not doing it for somebody else. You're not doing it for the animal. You're not doing it for the planet. You're doing it for yourself, but you don't even care about yourself. So since you don't even care about yourself, I can only expect, for you to adapt this kind of lifestyle. However, what I'm trying to say with this is, like, if you really care about you and your health and living longer and create a great impact, not only for you but for this planet, and then not only for the planet also, but also for the next generation, then do it. There's no excuses. There's nothing at this point in 2022 going to 2023 that will completely block you from making that step. It's just a force of scarcity or paradigms that you have engraved in your brain. But other than that, there's nothing really blocking you from making that decision, because at this point, I mean, what is not out there that I can definitely help you to move on, to take that step into eating a more plant-based diet, including just completely wiping out meat from your plate and then starting eating this way now. So I'll continue talking about some of these researches, right? Some of the studies. One study published in the journal Diabetes Care found that a plant-based diet was associated with a lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Again, and another study published in the journal Nutrition found that a plant-based diet was associated with a lower risk of high blood pressure. Again, diabetes, high blood pressure. Same thing over and over again, right? A plant-based diet has also been shown to be effective at reducing inflammation in the body, which has been linked to a number of chronic diseases such as heart disease and cancer. Again, a study published in the journal Nutrition found that a plant-based diet was associated with a lower level of inflammation makers such as C-reactive protein and interleukin. So there's so many studies, and this is just a few of those that again talks about how pain, inflammation, and so on and so forth. So I don't know what will be stopping you from not making this decision, because literally, I mean, we're talking about your life and talking about being an effective human being in this planet. Another area where a plant-based diet has been shown to be beneficial is in continence health. A study published in the journal Neurology found that people who follow a plant-based diet had a lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Look at this. And another study published in the journal Frontiers in Nutrition found that a plant-based diet was associated with improved cognitive functions in older adults. These are also environmental benefits to following a plant-based diet. A study published in the journal Environmental Science and Technology found that a plant-based diet had a significantly lower carbon footprint compared to a non-plant-based diet. And another study published in the journal Nature found that a plant-based diet had a lower environmental impact in terms of land use, water use, and greenhouse gas emission. So you guys know all this, right? Basically, a lot of people, when they go vegan or when they do vegan, the biggest thing is food. So we all know how do you have to approach, changing your lifestyle, you're changing your diet, eating differently, and so on and so forth. The biggest thing is you have to change the way you eat, right? Your food and all the different things. And that makes a big difference. It definitely does make a big difference. It helps a lot too. But when you start understanding the lifestyle and why is it important for you to turn vegan and eat this way, is when you start seeing all the other benefits of things that you're causing, like you improve your environment, you improve your health, and then you're talking about we're talking about not eating dead animals and so on and so forth. When all that stuff started to make sense to you, then is when you actually start living the lifestyle the way you're supposed to be. But we all know that we have to start somewhere, right? So for you, it could be health, it could be animal, it could be environment, whatever that is, just get started. Now, on the note, when we're talking about the benefit from a health perspective, now we have the science to back this up. It's not just me. It's not just somebody, just some random hippie guy talking about, oh yeah, go plant-based, come plant-based. No, we're talking about, hey, there has been study done that tells you how important it is if you eat this way, just because it allows you to have a healthier lifestyle, a healthier life. You should be able to get away from disease and all kind of things that are causing cancer and causing cholesterol and inflammation and all these different things. So choosing a plant-based diet over animal food, you can reduce your impact on the environment and then contribute to a sustainable, healthier planet. So what I do to incorporate more plant-based food into your diet, I'm going to give you some tips and some recommendations that you can get started. Okay, I'm going to give you about 10 tips that you can start today, right now, to incorporate whole food plant-based diets, or a plant-based diet or a vegan diet, and then start switching away from what we call animal byproducts or animal product. So first one is start by adding more fruit, veggies, legumes, and whole grains to your meals. These foods are rich in nutrients and can also help you feel more satisfied and full. So just diversify your plate, right? Incorporate more of a whole food plant-based diet or a whole food diet, or vegan diet is fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds, etc. Right? So you start adding more of these to your plate, and it's going to allow you to achieve a difference. Now you start feeling better, right? So now you can reduce your meat out of your plate with some of these things, right? With some of this product. And then not only product, but you start adding more of these foods into your plate. Now instead of having candy, you have fruits, right? Now instead of eating rice, for example, there's nothing wrong with rice. You can have quinoa, for example, right? Things of that nature. You can have more beans to your plate for extra carbohydrate and for also helping you with a little bit of protein and so forth. You can have more lentils and so on and so forth. So by adding more of these things to your plate allows you to start kind of getting yourself into like, oh, man, I'm eating a lot healthier now than before. Number 2, experiment with different plant-based protein sources such as beans, lentils, tofu, meat alternative, and tempeh. This food can help you meet your protein needs without reaching or touching any animal product. So that's right. So when we talk about meat alternative, there's a lot of brands out there. I had done videos talking about those. Actually, last week's video was about those meal alternatives, right? I talk about Gardein, I talk about Impossible, Beyond, I talk about Morningstar, I talk about Phil Rose. All those different brands to Turkey have so many meat alternatives that are delicious, that are good, high in protein and high in cholesterol, they're high in protein and they're also high in carbohydrate and high in fats. I mean, so you find the one that match your need, and then start implementing those. You can start getting away from those, your animal-based product, and then start incorporating more of your plant-based protein alternative, and then you start seeing how you feel still having some of those. And I think this is a great way to kind of transition from one thing to another, and by adding some of this to your plate. So maybe the day you're going meatless Mondays or meatless Tuesday, whatever that day of the week you decided to do it, then incorporate some of these things that I just mentioned and see how it goes. I think you'll be surprised at how good and delicious some of these meat alternatives are. Consider trying out plant-based alternatives to your favorite meal, such as veggie burgers instead of beef burger, Gardein, Morningstar, Beyond, Impossible, roasted vegetable instead of chicken. So just like I mentioned, you want to go ahead and try some of this product, and I kind of touched base a little bit on that on point 2, and then when you start adding some of these alternative, you definitely will see a big change. At the same time, and if just to piggyback on the previous topic, I was talking about experimenting about some vegan proteins. There's protein pretty much in every food you eat, right? So like, for example, if I'm eating a banana, which I use this as an example, you have about 1 gram of protein in the banana. You got kale has some source of protein as well. Spinach has also source of protein. So it's gonna base on the amount that you intake. So you just want to be able to kind of have a variety of food in your plate, because the one thing about a whole food plant-based is a very nutrient dense. So you always find nutrients in all the foods that you eat, as long as you stay in between the whole food plant-based ecosystem. So try to add some of these alternative, and then you see a big difference. See how you like, which one you like. There might be some ones you like, some ones that you don't like. Find the ones you like, you try those and incorporate them more often. You'll see a big difference. Look for a plant-based recipe online, that's number 4, or in a cookbook to help you get started. There are endless options out there, so don't be afraid to try something new. Definitely, you want to be able to try cookbooks, recipe, no matter where you from or where you are. You can always find recipes online. Always, no matter where you go, I can find a recipe for everything that you can. So basically, you can make anything vegan. You can make it anything vegan, anything plant-based. You can find a recipe. So try it out. Go check for your special. If you like something specific, like let's say you like steaks, for example, just give you an example. You can make vegan steak, right, out of seitan. So you find a recipe, you try it, you do it, and then see how it goes. I mean, at the end of the day, when you eat The only reason why people like meat is because of the taste and the way you put all these condiments, right? All these ingredients to it. So if you do the same thing with a plant-based presentation, with a plant-based item, or with a plant-based protein source, then you'll have the same similar feelings and taste. So that's what you can do. So, but you have to find the right recipe that allows you to see and do that, so you can have that same feeling, same sensation. Number 5, don't be too hard on yourself if you slip up. As long as you're making an effort to eat mostly plant-based most of the time. Well, that's true. I think if you when you first getting started on this plant-based movement, it be times that you can control situation where you go to a restaurant, which is not a vegan restaurant, right? But let's say it's a restaurant that have options, and they by mistake they slip meat on your I don't know, on your pasta or whatever you were ordering. So if that something happens, don't feel too bad about it. You're getting started. You're making a big improvement, a big change just by changing your lifestyle. So just continue at it, and then try to do better. What's going to end up happening is you start getting better at reading labels. You start getting better at going to which restaurant you're going to pick to eat. You start getting better at recognizing when the food is not vegan or not. So you start learning out of those experiences. So for me, it's better that you stay on track. Just stay committed, stay good, stay poised, and if something happens, it happens. Just move on, and then you get better for the next time. So, but don't be too hard on yourself for that. Number 6, pick the right approach for you. Either it could be cold turkey, or it could be gradually transitions to a plant-based diet can make it more sustainable and easier to stick with. Well, yeah, when we talk about picking the right approach, you want to be able to make sure that whatever is the right way for you to do this, the perfect way for you to do it, or the way that you usually prefer to do it, it works out with the way you are, with your personality, with your commitment, with your values, etc., right? I personally am more of a cold turkey type of approach. If I want to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and do it right away. I try not to hesitate and try not to think too much about it. I just go for it, and then just go and continue doing. If you are more of the gradually easy and taking my time, go ahead and do it. My whole thing is that I don't care if that's your approach, as long as you don't stay for too long in that stage without making the next move, right? So don't be 10 years down, or 5 years, or 7 years on the transitional period, or and just thinking about it, or just seeing how things go. So try to just continue going forward, continue growing, because that's gonna give you like my most value is when you actually complete whatever it is that you put yourself into. So let me go ahead and go on to the next one. So it's make sure, number 7, make sure that you are getting enough nutrients, especially proteins and iron. Plant-based protein sources like beans, lentils, and tofu are great options, and you can boost your iron intake by eating foods like nuts, seeds, and leafy greens. So yeah, we all know how important it is to keep up eating a nutrient-dense diet. It's definitely important for your well-being. And number 8, don't be afraid to try new plant-based ingredients and recipes. There are so many options out there, from plant-based milk and cheese to meat alternatives like tempeh and seitan. Number 9, consider joining a plant-based support group or finding a plant-based buddy to help you stay motivated and accountable, right? So this is what we do. As a mentor, I'm here to help you in your process, to guide you, lead you, to make you accountable, to provide all the necessary information that you need to be able to succeed in this lifestyle. So when you can get a mentor, when you can get a buddy, or anybody that is in the same boat or same thing, exactly doing the same thing you're doing, definitely help. For me, in particularly, I remember when I first started, when I first started, I had a buddy, or I have a friend that he was kind of like my mentor on this movement. Then I started meeting more people that were in the same boat that I were. And then everything changed for me, because now I don't feel alone. There's a lot of people out there now that I was like, oh, okay, well, you do the same thing too. And even though that you're still a minority, when you are among the people that are in the same lifestyle that you are, it turns like the big brotherhood, like a big, like a big friendship, like a big partnership. So it's a really great environment when you find other people that are doing the same thing you're doing, or eating the same way you're doing, because it definitely makes a big difference. If you feel you're not improving or getting where you want to get, find help. Get a coach, holistic coach, fitness or nutrition coach, and mentor anyone in this space with the years of expertise that can assist you in this transition. So it goes along with what we're talking about joining a plant-based group. You can find a plant-based group in Facebook. That's point 9. But if we talk about number 10, which is finding a partnership or improving finding a coach, is what I would just mention. How beneficial it is. Like me, particularly when I started it. Not only that I find a group, but also I found a mentor. Like, for example, in the fitness, I wanted to get into better shape. So how do I work out now, being a vegan? Because I don't really know how to work out. And then now, on top of that, everybody thinks that you can't accomplish things because you're vegan. So you find somebody that knows. So I found a fitness coach, and then especially it was he and she were both focused on they were vegan. So it was a great relationship, because now not only they understand the way I eat, but they understand also the fitness part of it. So it was great in that sense. So by following these tips and recommendations, you can easily incorporate more plant-based food into your diet and re-up the numerous health benefits that offer. Thank you for tuning in to this podcast. I love you guys so much, and I appreciate you guys' support every single day. And guys, go vegan. Let's do it. Come on.
Gracias por escuchar Latino y Vegano, un show donde se habla todo lo relacionado sobre el veganismo entre la comunidad latina. No olviden suscribirse a este podcast, seguirnos en Instagram, Facebook, YouTube y a visitarnos en latinoyvegano.com.